Welcome to yet another exciting and insightful discussion by ETHealthworld. The live webinar is on Russia's personalized cancer vaccine, the biggest medical breakthrough or premature excitement. This development of Russian cancer vaccine has definitely sparked a global debate and ignited global excitement, celebrated by some as a revolution in oncology, while others remain skeptical. Recently, just 2 days ago, we had a news where tech giant like Oracle informed to invest and revolutionize healthcare with early cancer detection and personalized vaccine. US President Donald Trump's support for advanced therapy shows that spotlight on cancer vaccine has never been brighter. As AI and genomic profiling is redefining possibilities, we explore whether Russia's vaccine is a game changer as it promises to be, or is it just a premature excitement? To delve deeper into this, we have an esteemed panel of experts with us today. Let me take a moment to introduce them. Dr. Sanjay Singh, CEO, Genova Biopharmaceuticals Limited. Dr. Sanjay, thanks a lot for joining with us today. We have Dr. Gaurav Narula, Professor, Pediatric Oncology and Health Sciences, Tata Memorial Center. Thanks a lot, Dr. Narula, for joining, taking time. And we have Dr. Harit Chaturvedi, Chairman, Max Institute of Cancer Care. Thanks a lot, Dr. Chaturvedi, for joining in and taking time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Dr. Rajan Sriraman, Research Director, Reliance Life Sciences. Thanks a lot, Dr. Sriraman, taking time with us for this exciting, panel discussion. Next, we have Dr. Santosh Devdas, Consultant, Medical Oncology, Ramaya Memorial Hospital.
Hello.
Thus, thanks a lot, Dr. Santosh, for joining in. And with me, we have Mr. Vikas Dandekar, editor of ETHealthworld and ETPharma, who will be moderating this session. And I'm Pratibha, senior assistant editor, who will be co-moderating of the session. So, yeah. So without further ado, I think 60 minutes is less for such a, exciting topic and with such a elite panelist. So let me begin with the first question. Are the bold claims from Russia and other players about mRNA vaccines justified? Could we be setting unrealistic expectation in cancer research, or are these developments a tangible step toward a breakthrough? I would like to go to Dr. Sanjay first.
Thank you, Pratibha. It's a pleasure to be here. So I have tried to search the data, but there is no data published, and we are today in evidence-based medicine that if you claim something, there should be a proper evidence. So I will answer this in three parts. One part is that, yes, cancer immuno-oncology is a very, very important field, and a lot of discoveries are going on. And in this area, mRNA is going to make a big difference because of its inherent nature at present and how we understand cancer immunology. The second, what is the claim has been made by a Russian company or TASS on the news. They are saying some preclinical data in mouse shows around 70% reduction in tumor size. But mouse and human is quite distant. Until we see the data, how safe it is, how effective it is, how efficacious it is, what kind of long-term follow-up are happening. So yes, what they have claimed, this is not at present substituted by the data, because we are the scientists, we see the peer-reviewed journals. And peer-reviewed journals, when different kind of scrutiny is put through it, especially the regulators, then we can say, yes, something is going on. So at present, I will say that, yes, they have claimed it, but for us, it is difficult to find what are the evidences behind it. Last part of my answer will be, this is very exciting field. Genova is also playing around in this region because we developed our first mRNA vaccine after Moderna and Pfizer. This is very exciting field, and a lot of things are going to change into field in coming years. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Sanjay. Might not be so excited, I suppose. I'll go to Dr. Gaurav Narula next. Dr. Narula, your points.
Dr. Sanjay Singh has already laid it out very clearly. And what we have seen is newspaper announcements. We have seen news announcements. We have seen a lot of statements from people powerful people and popular people, but we haven't seen any data. And we have a saying in science, which we say, "In God we trust. The rest of you bring data." So unless it's coming from God, and we know it's not, we need to see the data. There is no data that is discernible. The other issue that at the clinical level, so as a scientist, Dr. Sanjay Singh has already told you that at the scientific level, we are not seeing any data. And from scientific data to clinical data is a long journey. I think every lab in the world every day sees some exciting data in mice. My lab saw some exciting data in mice last week, but that's not a worldwide announcement. But yes, let us say that they have progressed beyond that stage. Uh, Even then, from mice, you need to see human trials. And the earliest human trials are those which should be for safety. Then you need to see larger trials, phase 2 trials for efficacy. And now we are talking about a vaccine. A vaccine to prevent cancer. Cancer does not occur, in 1 in 3 people or 1 in 2 people, or over a lifetime. It can occur maybe in a higher incidence, but otherwise it's a rare disorder when you take cross-sectionally across society. So basically, you would need to vaccinate uh, thousands of people and tens of thousands to see primary prevention. And what we have said in the reports, it seems that it is more like, from what I could gather, it seems more like a vaccine which will be given to patients who already have certain kinds of cancer, and they will analyze their genomics and immunological data, and then personalize a vaccine which will then will give them, and that will help to reduce and regress the tumor. Even there, then you would still need a few hundred patients to show us some convincing data that that is indeed happening. So from important results in mice to be announced in 2025 is a long hop. This journey generally takes years. So I will wait for the data. I'm not saying it's not possible. There are many other reasons at the technical and scientific level which we can discuss during this forum, but we are far from scientific data. We are not even seeing clinical data, neither scientific data.
So let me quickly bring in Dr. Harit, your views on this, doctor.
I think both Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Gaurav have elaborated very clearly that we believe in data and data is the crux. Having said that, I think vaccine journey has taken off. And as both Dr. Gaurav and Dr. Sanjay, they are experts in the field, they know it has taken off. There are some early information, and we are all very excited in the oncology field that this will bring up new frontiers and new opportunities to treat cancer. So this is not about prevention. This is largely about treatment of cancer. And this is where all this work is happening. So I must say that there is some sense of optimism but there'll be several false alarms like this one, false excitements, or you can say false starts, and then. But frankly, I do see an opportunity where, just as targeted therapy world has taken off in a good way in certain areas, the immunotherapies, the targeted drugs, they have made a big difference. Likewise, this is also a big opportunity which has opened for the scientists and clinicians to work together and bring out data to bring better results.
Okay. So, Dr. Santosh, your views, please.
So, Pratibha, it's a very exciting space, immunology and oncology, and the future for cancer cure probably is in immunology. So, I echo the other panelists what they have mentioned with respect to this particular aspect. It's important to remember that as Dr. Gaurav, who was my teacher in Tata Memorial, did mention that there are 4 phases of clinical trials: phase 1, 2, 3, 4. We are not even in the phase 0 as of now, as per the Russian data. But there is very interesting data from the United States. There is a melanoma trial where they looked at the mRNA vaccine. It's a phase 2B data that has come out in Lancet recently. That shows the proof of principle is out there. and it's just for the scientific community to take it forward and to make it real time. It may take a few years, but the proof of concept is out there.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Santosh, for the pointers. I'm coming to Dr. Rajan last because I can get a like summary of these things and maybe some more apart from the data and other things. Dr. Rajan, over to you.
I am only add an anecdote which we in the research field often use. Mice lie and monkeys misbehave. So the data purely coming out of mice may not be translatable. We all know that's what panelists suggested. So I think there's still a long way to go. As Dr. Sanjay had mentioned, I also tried to look up for any publication for whatever clinical trial I could not lay my hands on. But yes, technically it is feasible, but it's long drawn, and they'll be involving a lot of deep mining of data, wherein the computers and AI would play a critical role in deciding what kind of antigen it will be. And Dr. Harit clearly pointed out this is not a prophylactic or preventive vaccine. It's the one that is being discussed is something which is therapeutic, meaning that somebody has got the cancer and you are identifying the antigen and then going back to the person. And in fact, whatever was announced yesterday by Donald Trump is also in the similar line. So I think I echo the sentiment that there's not much that we can learn from TAS announcement. But again, if it is just a mice data, it's still a long way to go.
Okay, so we have long way to go with that. I will hand over to Vikas sir. Sir, you have more questions, please.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for those introductions, Pratibha. Now, basically, what I think created so much of hype is probably the broader use of this technology, and it didn't really specify from the Russian side on what exactly are they trying to treat, which cancer, and that probably raised hopes that it may use some technology which can be broad based. Now, against that particular news, I was actually seeing the news that came out last year on a lung cancer vaccine, which was taken up for trials by NHS. And I think they had a huge target of, putting patients on trials. And it started with some 7 countries and across. So it was far more transparent in the way it was actually projected. NSLC and the kind of patients that they will be recruiting, it's already underway. So do you think there is some kind of ground or evidence on this being a broad-based technology which can be used across the board? I can first go to Dr. Gaurav Narula, and then on the technology I can get both the vaccine producers.
Right. Yes. Thank you. So having laid the base of my thoughts, which I did in the first round, I do want to make it clear. It's not that the technology is not exciting; it is indeed. But when we scientists, as scientists, when we say exciting, we think it's got a lot of potential. But the journey from exciting to okay, it actually works, and then it can actually be given, is a long journey. So yes, the technology is exciting. And is there any development in the field? Yes, there is. In fact, there have been similar trials that I know of, which was started in India, in Chennai, in the WI Cancer Institute for cervical cancer. Similar strategies have been explored. The idea is basically to sensitize the immunological cells to recognize the cancer antigens. And once they recognize it, then they can go about doing the job. And the way to get them to recognize it, there are several different ways one can do it. You can take out the lymphocytes and expose them to the cancer antigen outside. You can expose them to dendritic cells, which are expressing the cancer antigen on the surface, and then they learn how to recognize it. You can engineer the lymphocytes to express the antibody to that cancer antigen on the surface, and that we do with CAR T cell therapy. In CAR T cell therapy, we inject, through a vector, we inject a piece of DNA into the cell, which goes and integrates into the host genome. And so it's a very stable expression. It's going to continue to express that protein on its surface. You can use mRNA to do the same thing. So that in mRNA, you're not putting it into the genome, you're just injecting the mRNA, which are carrying the code for the protein, and then the protein will get expressed on the surface, and it can do that. So these are all different ways of doing the same thing. And each way has its, each technology has its advantages, and each technology has its disadvantages. And what might work for one may not work for the other. CAR T cell therapy might work very well for one particular kind of cancer. It may not work for the others. Similarly, mRNA kind of vaccine may work very well for one and not the other. And the second part of technology, which the Russian cancer vaccine refers to, is to personalize it. And there the different technology comes in. Now, to personalize it, that means that every patient has got different cancers. I mean, and within different a particular type of cancer also, it can be quite heterogeneous. Everybody with, let's say, breast cancer doesn't have the same kind of cancer, and everybody with the same kind of esophageal cancer doesn't have the same kind of cancer. Similar goes for other solid tumors, pediatric tumors, and hematological malignancies. We might call it acute lymphoblastic leukemia, but each one is slightly different. So what they're saying is that antigen expression of these cancers can be, from the individual patient, can be studied, and then based on that, you can have an mRNA library which is probably ready, and then sensitize your lymphocytes to those particular antigens only, which will be personalized for that patient. This is just putting it briefly and in a nutshell, but the technological challenges here are huge. I think what they have referred to is the use of artificial intelligence to collate all that massive amount of data of cancer antigen heterogeneity and analyze that in a short period of time, so that you can that might cut down from days or weeks to maybe a couple of hours or even half an hour. But the rest of the production is still going to take time. The lymphocytes still need to be exposed to it. They need to be sensitized. They need to be cultivated, and they need to be safely packaged to be given back. So that's my understanding of the technology, what they have projected, and what we understand from cancer biology and cancer immunology in a sort of a nutshell.
Right. Yeah. So exactly that's where I wanted to get Dr. Singh and Dr. Rajan both involved. So Dr. Singh, you know the mRNA side of the story inside out, and proven hugely in the way you created the COVID vaccine. Now the point is that, as Dr. Narula mentioned, that the whole thing can be used through the power of AI, and within a few hours you can actually come out with a vaccine. Do you think this is like, it looks a little more than what we can actually think about, at least at this point of time? Do you think that is practically a doable kind of a target? Sir, you're on mute.
So I'm going to little bit enter on the biology side, but I will try to as simple as possible. So cancer is a particular aberration of your own system. And each person is having a cancer, though it can be defined breast cancer, lung cancer, liver cancer, all these kind of cancers. But still, at a personal level, these are genetic mutation, genetic alteration, which create the problems. And today, technology has advanced that you can pick up the circulating tumor cells, you can sequence them very, very fast, and you can figure out what are the aberration sequences as compared to your normal sequences. If you can figure it out, this term is known as neoantigens. This is there for last decade or so. But the mRNA is only adding value into it, but this new antigen you can convert into vaccine. So Larry Ellison said 3 days back into the White House briefing, in 48 hours you can make the vaccine. Yes, it's feasible. Now it is not going to take years and years, but it will be a couple of weeks you can have it. But again, this term is known as personalized cancer vaccine. So if a particular person is having a particular kind of cancer, a very personalized immunotherapy we have created and we have given it back. Today, many cancer vaccine trials are going on, and they are going on for last 30 years. It is not 10, 15, 20. But this technology innovation has given a boost to it where you can test much faster level. This is on one side of the technology and biology. The outcome side is that, yes, today you might treat this cancer and if the tumor has reduced, the disease has gone, but you have to go for follow-up for a couple of years that it should not come back in a separate same form or something like that. So here the same thing is happening with CAR-T. Yes, CAR-T looks sometimes very good, but success rate is limited. The cancer vaccine, there is some success, but it is very limited. So we are looking for a big success in the cancer immunotherapy area, and which looks like mRNA is going to pave the way. So Moderna is also working on that. BioNTech is also working on that. We are also taking few things forward. But again, pratyaksham kim pramanam. It has to be driven by the scientific evidence. It has to be reviewed by regulatory agencies. And then like Professor Narula and Dr. Harish Chaturvedi kind of people has to prove in the clinic that at a bigger scale when we are trying, results are coming. So yes, technology advancement is making big difference, but from success, we are a bit far away as of today.
Right. Dr. Rajan, would you like to add to that, in terms of the practicality of having a technology on ground? I'm sure it will take quite a few years, but is it a doable option?
Oh, for sure. At the onset, I would say it is doable, and it's people have practiced and reduced to practice and brought it to clinic as well. That's why you have phase 1, phase 2 trials running. So it's not that technically it is not possible. It is scientifically grounded. And the excitement here is because of the speed that is added to it. The speed is offered by mRNA prior to this, and also very low cost and high speed sequencing, nucleic acid sequencing. Prior to this, there was you could correlate between what are the different tumor antigens based looking at the protein level, extracting the host cell protein of the normal and the cancer cell, evaluating the mutant protein, and then go back try to figure out. Those things have been circumvented because now it is much faster and easier to do nucleic acid sequencing. And so in that sense, the tools are getting in place to increase the speed of discovery and thereby implement it for public use. Now, when it comes to definition of vaccine, the vaccine per se, A, it is prophylactic, and B, it is applied at a mass scale. So anything which is personalized, obviously it is not mass scale. And the moment it is personalized, it will be more expensive because obviously there are very niche technologies involved catering to one person. And therefore the cost is entirely borne by the person who is receiving. So it is feasible, but at what cost we will have to see in future. But having said that, they may be like panelists did point out the neo tumor antigen. There may be antigens that are common across the platform. That is again an AI's job to figure out which are these antigens that are repeatedly occurring in certain kind of tumor. Then those could be bucketed as one vaccine target that could be applied across the population so that people at large can be benefited, and those therapies may be a little more less expensive compared to the personalized one. So my take would be that technically it is possible, but we are in a process of fine-tuning a lot more things. We are just not, it's easier said than done to say that we have an mRNA, Dr. Singh knows that to make a viable and scalable mRNA production platform takes years of perfection. So, how widely this will become popular unless technical skills are widely distributed to, first of all, deep mine the data, analyze, and then come up with an antigen target to be given to people. I think remains to be seen, but potential is huge and it's an exciting time.
Right, right. If I can get our oncologists on the panel, starting with Dr. Harit. Sir, over the last 15 years or so, we've seen the big transformation that is happening in cancer care. From the stage chemos to NABs to MABs, ADCs. Now people are talking about bispecifics and trispecifics. And at least in the case of multiple myeloma, I have seen something that was around 2.5, 3 years of survival. Now doctors have told me about 10 years. Also, people have actually gone without any medicines. Do you think this frontier is changing very fast, and probably cancer vaccine may be the one which we are all waiting for, the big holy grail?
I would say that the limiting factors is tumor heterogeneity. What happens every time new thing comes up, new way of treating cancer, whether even in the era of chemotherapy. When platinum came up in 80s, there was a big hope. All of us, I'm a surgeon, so all of us thought that probably you can remove and then the cells will be taken care of by platinum. And then we know that every year 4 or 5 drugs used to come. Today, every year, trial tested, there are about 15, 20 things which come in the market with authentic value, but all of them have added incremental value in the outcomes in a very specific subgroup of each tumor type. For example, if we talk of breast cancer or even lung cancer or any cancer, within that group, there are several groups which we know, and within each known group, we know several unknown factors which are still being understood and evolved. So that is what is the limiting factor. The expectation, as far as I'm concerned, as a clinician with 40 years in this field, my expectation is that this will also add incremental value and maybe a significant value in a subset of patients. But will this transform the game? Is this the last frontier? Is this the holy grail? I am not that excited, but I'm definitely positive. I must say that I look at each of these breakthroughs as big breakthroughs. Somebody mentioned about CAR-T. CAR-T has changed the game for a subset of patients.
Yes.
So let us not say that the whole world will change, but
Right.
certainly a group will benefit significantly. And that is what we as oncologists have realized, that this is finally an emperor of all melodies. It has not been labeled just like that. It is labeled
Yes.
because it has its own mechanisms to overcome whatever we put as a blockage. Whatever
Right.
we think has solved the problem, it will overcome that as well. And
Right.
this fight will go on at least for next few decades, I'm sure. I think Dr.
Right.
Gaurav will have more insight into what all is
Yeah.
possible. My
Yeah.
insight is that it will go on. The fight will go on, and this will.
I should have added CAR-Ts in the entire continuum with Dr. Gaurav Narula sitting there.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is giving a tough fight to many of the.
Absolutely. It is making great sense to a lot of subgroup of our patients, and we are also excited about this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dr. Santosh, do you want to come in from the lens of an oncologist? How do you think this is going to work? Is it something that matches with Dr. Harit's point of view?
Dr. Harit said every additional innovation would add value to a subset of patients. Would be able to give maybe a cure for a additional subset of patients. What is important to remember that say 10 years ago, a patient with multiple melanoma used to be written off. Malignant melanoma used to be written off as go home. You have and put your affairs in order, and you have few months. Now we have patients. I have patients who go on without much disease for years together with the advent of immunotherapy drugs. And also, Dr. Gaurav is here. There is a lot of data coming out of combining CAR T cell therapy with immunotherapy, that is drugs like
Yes.
nivolumab, pembrolizumab, and what the CAR T is able to give a cure rate of about 40-50%. People are trying to increase the cure rate to a higher proportion of patients getting cured with the addition of CAR T. So there are studies going on. If you look at the clinicaltrials.gov.in, the US website that registers all the clinical trials, there are combination trials going on with the mRNA vaccine that will really add value to patients in terms of their chance of cure.
Dr. Narula, we'd like to hear from you whether vaccine probably will be the next one for you to take up as a research project.
I'll just take all, I'll just expand first on what Dr. Haritwari said first, because I'm an oncologist too, so I will take that first. In oncology, there's a saying, once bitten, twice shy. In oncology, we have been bitten several times. Several times. We are very shy now. It doesn't mean to say we are not excited. If you're not excited about something, it's not going to move. Obviously, in 2015, when we started out with the CAR T journey, I was very excited about it, and I still am. And that's why we move, because you have to have, you have to believe in something. But you at the same time have to have the maturity to know that no such thing is going to be a single shot or a be all end all solution for everything. And to me, in 2015-16 also, we worked on the CD19 CAR T with IIT Bombay, which designed it. But the idea was not just to learn and get a CD19 CAR into clinical trial and in the market. That was the main project. The idea was always to understand cell and gene therapy so that we can use it as a platform technology to apply it in multiple areas. And that's where your question to me comes from. These kind of technologies are what we call platform technologies. Once you have this technology, it's amenable to use in multiple different ways. Ultimately, what you're doing is you're taking the T cell and you are arming it to recognize a cancer antigen. And as I already alluded to earlier, there's several ways of doing it. But once you know one way of doing it, that's the basic concept. And the processes and the equipments and the flows and the expertise that you need to get master one system are easily pivotable to other systems. So the initial R&D may be on a particular type of cancer, and the final clinical trial may be carried out in that particular cancer. But what is in between, those processes and development processes are similar. They basically involve manipulation of cells, either genetically by mRNA or by viral vector or by transposons or by exposure to dendritic cells or by exposure to ex vivo antigens. It's a similar kind of cell manipulation which is going on. And the technology has expanded exponentially. So once it became known that you can attack a tumor by cell manipulation and cancer antigen recognition, everybody's working on it. In CAR T, there are some 4,000-5,000 trials going on all over the world. A lot of them on the same targets. So, the technology can expand. The ways of doing it are expanding day by day, with CRISPR coming in, gene editing coming in, mRNA being another platform technology. With all this coming in, the ways of doing it are expanding every day. But to take each one of them down the line of, trial, safety, efficacy, and then actually that it works when it goes out into the community is a huge journey. So the clinical, in science, we can progress very fast, but the patient wants something that works. My patient, when I tell him that I want to give you this, he says, Dr. Saab, does it work? How many people have got it before? I said, no, you're going to be the first one to get it. They don't want it. Okay. So it's not going to work that way. So this is your specific question, whether I'll be looking at cancer vaccines. No, I don't need to. There are enough people working on it. It's a very exciting technology, but it takes all your life and all your efforts and days and nights and family sacrifices to get one thing out from the lab into the clinic. For most people, that's a lifetime journey. So I think there are enough people in the world to focus on it, with others like Dr. Sanjay Singh and others working on mRNA vaccine. They are the ones to go ahead in that area.
Can I make just one comment, Dr. Gaurav, that now at least the trials are much faster than what it used to be.
Yes,
You
yes.
said that use of AI. So now from lab to bedside, it's taking much shorter than before, and with all the collective connectivity which we are using today is much more stronger. So there should be more optimism in some terms of that it will come sooner than we think, than we have realized in the past. That's what I would say.
Very much, very much. Lots of optimism.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, the speed of trials have actually gone up quite tremendously, and I think a preclinical candidate actually sees phase one at least 20-40 patients, quite quickly, even if it is of a rare cancer type. So we've finished 2 rounds. Pratibha, you want to take up the third set of questions?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As I can see few questions on mostly on asking about the mRNA vaccine. So just curious as well. So I wanted to ask the panel, how will advancement in mRNA vaccines translate into improved outcomes for patients? Anything new word? We are all excited as a common man. I'm talking here. So could these vaccines, which be it Russia or the other global counterparts like Pfizer, Moderna, a lot of people are working on it. Could these vaccines redefine oncology? At last, as a patient, I want to know like how it's going to help me. So, are they more likely to complement the existing therapies? What I'm in store of, what would I get? So, I would like to go to Dr. Sanjay first on this, and next the other panelists. Dr. Sanjay.
Thank you. So, with due respect to all the treating surgeons are sitting here, so I divide, your question is very pertinent. So I divide this space in a sectorial. So when the first cancer came, you cut it out and remove it. Then somehow some chemotherapy came, then somehow some medicine came, then somehow antibodies came, now CAR-T came. So we are trying to improve our treatment, but on the same side, we are having some improvement into cure. But this is not a permanent cure because of what Dr. Chaturvedi said, heterogeneity, because cancer rework yourself, it again befool your immune system. So now we here at Genova, what we are trying 3 independent approaches. First approach is, can we convert a cold tumor into hot tumor? This is the part 1. Once we have converted cold into a hot tumor, then can we induce some immune response, functional immune response? So the body is now fully equipped to fight its own problems. But body's immune system is ready how to handle the heterogeneity and how to handle the particular tumor. So here the mRNA is putting a lot of value into it. So I will say this is generation 5th kind of treatment where we have understand the immune biology better, we have understood the tumor biology better, and we are going to have a total new approach from the treatment. So this treatment approach of mRNA-based personalized cancer vaccine was not existing till 3 years, 4 years before. So COVID has given opportunity to mRNA to push into the lab, and finally, few hundred, as Vikas said, few hundred trials are going on. So this is the whole new era has started, and I'm very optimistic about it. I cannot say that we are going to absolutely absolutely make the cancer wiped away, but certainly we are very positive that we are adding not an incremental, this technology if succeeded, it is not an incremental addition to treatment, it will be paradigm shift to the treatment. This is my answer, Pratibha, to your question.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Singh. I will go to Dr. Rajan. Do you really, accept that there will be a paradigm shift by mRNA?
It has already. I mean, that's why we are talking here. So, like I said, that the whole game in any therapy is how quickly you reach the patient. So, the mRNA adds the dimension of speed to it. Of course, the biology remains much the same. You still have to understand how each cell signaling work and how the cells interact with each other. Currently, the trials that are going are also an adjunct trial, meaning you are blocking the checkpoint using a checkpoint inhibitor and coming in with the immune response, because the tumor environment is a very, very important area to work with. It's not just the cancer cell that is expressing an antigen, but what the environment is doing to sustain itself. So I think with the mRNA, we add speed, and with increasing insight in immunology, we know how the various cellular pathways interact with each other so that we can make use of those pathways better. Uh, uh, to me, it's a very, very exciting time, and I completely share the excitement Dr. Singh has presented. It's a fascinating time to be.
I'll go to Dr. Harith here. Dr. Harith, if you can just let us know about the improved outcomes for patients via mRNA cancer vaccines, what is your perspective on that? Could these vaccines redefine oncology, or are they more likely to complement the existing therapies?
So if I talk about the journey in cancer treatment decade by decade, so if I just look at the last 10 years, what has happened? It's not just, I digress a bit away from mRNA and the current topic. Look at any area, pathology, radiology, imaging, surgical development, radiation precision has gone up, the targeting has gone up. So all this has led to a significant improvement in outcomes. There is enough data to support that now people are surviving more than before. There are more and more number of patients getting cured and having better quality of life. So there is a lot of optimism in the space of cancer, and that is why you see the fear factor is gradually going down. Gradually, people are realizing what used to be, as people say, oncology is the new cardiology. So I say oncology is the new cardiology many times over. It is not just new cardiology in parallel sense. It is many times over because there's a whole spectrum of people working together towards improving the outcomes and strategies, right from prevention and screening to early detection. The understanding has evolved a lot. A lot has changed, and that has also percolated down. Today, if you look at tobacco, the single biggest cause for cancer. Now, nobody's looked, all those people who used to look so smart and used to smoke or started in colleges, today it is so difficult to have a cigarette or tobacco and be at home or be in a public place, either place. It is so well. So, what I'm trying to emphasize that there's a lot of optimism, there's a lot of reason, and the real opportunities coming together and being open to all the new ideas, because this is where change happens, and this is why we accept and adapt very fast. If we are cynical, if we have all the time skepticism, then we'll keep saying nothing till it crosses and you lose the bus. That should not happen. We should be really open and work together. And what Dr. Gaurav, Dr. Sanjay and the scientists are doing in this area, Dr. Rajan, I think this is where the change is. And whether I'm a surgeon, I'm an oncologist first. So I have to adopt and I have to listen and I have to really bring it down to people. So in a positive way, I'll say people should be really excited. It may not be, it is a paradigm shift in the way it is being thought. That's a paradigm shift. But in clinical application, probably to my mind, it will be incremental. Only a subset of patients will truly benefit in a significant way. But I don't know. In some a few decades later, we'll be talking of vaccines only that is possible. So I can't say that it is not possible.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Harith. I'll go to Dr. Santosh if you have pointers to add, please.
Pointers in terms of both Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Rajan did mention that it's a paradigm shift. It is a paradigm shift in the lab for sure. But in the clinic, when we are looking at patients and what happens to them, the chance of cure with this single invention itself alone is not like 100%. We may be able to cure a subset of more patients. And something that we need to also get out to the layman, the whole population, is that the combination of, say, for example, CAR T cell therapy or checkpoint inhibitors or immunotherapy that we call as in local parlance are all using the immune system to fight cancer. So this particular advance will definitely add value. In the clinic, it will only improve outcomes a bit more than what we are already seeing. And we have to take all the immunotherapy options, including chemotherapy, targeted therapy that are available for cancer, and use all the strategies to fight cancer better.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Santosh. Dr. Gaurav, if you can, give your perspective or summarize for the patients, how do you see mRNA vaccines? Yes.
So, despite though I might have sounded like a skeptic, I think that mRNA is a very exciting technology. It's very exciting, specifically because it is the most amenable to respond rapidly. So, if you want to design something new, if you have the technology, then you just need to design a new mRNA and you got your protein. The problem is in the rest of it. So, that's where the challenges come. As Santosh very rightly pointed out to you today, that there have been very few drugs and advances in oncology which have single-handedly changed outcomes. About 2.5 decades ago, there was that Times cover was there as that these are the magic bullets which can treat cancer. It was the drug called imatinib, Gleevec at that time, which as a single agent could make CML go away for a long period of time in most patients. And that was completely changed things because CML was a fatal disease before that. And unless they were transplanted. And same happened with CAR T. It's as a single agent in B cell malignancy, it could shift the needle not just by an inch or two, but completely, because even in highly relapsed refractory patients, they could have long durable remissions, which was unheard of earlier. But this doesn't happen too frequently. It happens once in a while, and usually it's one-off. The reason is because, as Dr. Harit has pointed out, cancer is very complex and has multiple ways of evading you. And it is prudent to believe oncology, as so passionately told by Dr. Harit, is a great teacher. It humbles us. We know that cancer, no one way treats cancer, causes success in cancer. It's a combinatorial approach. We need a combination of various therapies, various types of therapies, and within those types of therapies, different agents which work together to get an outcome. There is no reason to believe that mRNA vaccine or CAR T cell and immunotherapy will not go the same way. Ultimately, these will be used in combination with other drugs, timing it properly with surgery, timing it with other chemo, timing it with other therapies, and then the mRNA technology to get the optimal result in patient. And all this will take time. So a single agent might come in, but its ultimate role in treatment of a particular patient may be in combination with other things, and that will reveal itself only over time. So these are the two main things which I would like to stress upon going forward.
Yeah, we have just a few more minutes and we have a lot of questions. But one question I would really want to ask the panel is about given the uniqueness of each tumor when it comes for cancer, what technological and clinical hurdles need to be overcome to develop a personalized cancer vaccine? If Dr. Sanjay, if you can give your views.
Through different treatment, we can affect the tumor growth or reduce it, but just beyond a point, it moves away and further it comes back. So do we think that mRNA is going to solve this problem? I personally is very positive that with combinatorial approach, which I said to you, 2 or 3 approaches combination, it should solve, because in any in animal model, it is solving. We are seeing in our own hand, it is solving. And we didn't start COVID as a mRNA program. I think I just want to tell to everyone. We started from cancer immunotherapy a couple of years back, and we have worked for a couple of years. We are into it. It's very tough, very difficult, but very, very exciting field. But even a subset of patient or in our clinical trial, we have taken 1 or 2 or 3 type of cancer, and we have said that, okay, we have treated 300 cancer patients. They are doing great. They have been cleaned and everything. But these answers are not only in the lab or in the clinical trial. These answers comes when it goes to big population, when it goes to the doctors like Hari Chaturvedi. It goes into his clinical center where they are treating thousands of patients, and then whether we have solved this problem. So though we are trying our best, we believe that we are going to capture the tumor homogeneity, the heterogeneity, because we are seeing our animal data. We can hit the tumor heterogeneity. But on a bigger picture, we will know in a couple of years, certainly when we have the vaccine, how good we are doing, because I believe on a big phase 4 data, how the big phase 4 data is saying to us. So this is my comment, but certainly we are aiming to solve the tumor heterogeneity, and this aim we are very peculiar, very slow, and we are answering these questions one by one before we touch the human. Thank you.
So we have last 10 minutes. So I would like to give it over to Vikas sir, if we can wrap it. I want to ask about the cost factor. Maybe the last question, you can please add that also, the cost factor and the affordability
Sure.
of such vaccine.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's exactly what I was actually going to come to. Normally, we've seen inventions really happening in a big way in the West, and then we kind of try to catch up and replicate. And knowing the absolute institutions of excellence that we have in India, like Tata Memorial, there is always an effort to find something that is cost effective, doesn't really make the patient and their families bankrupt. Is this still an opportunity that can be looked at in terms of how we can find our own local solutions? We have this enormous patient burden in terms of the requirement of compliance, of trials. All of these factors do come in. Dr. Narula, you would like to throw some light on that, on whether these kind of inventions probably will be the ones which can be more tailored to the needs of the country.
Definitely. Since you're talking from a cost perspective, I would like to probably give the example of the cartridge itself. There are 3, 4 major key factors which can bring down the cost. The first is, of course, the intellectual property. If it's your own innovation, which it was in this first CD19 CAR-T, then obviously you're not paying anybody else for that. That brings it down huge amount of cost over there. So innovation is one key factor of bringing cost. Innovation doesn't occur in a vacuum. Innovation occurs with support, and since science and biology are such a high investment, high risk game, 10 innovation, 20 projects will result in 3 innovations, out of which one might work, and 1 in 10 of those will actually go on to become a market success. But innovation must occur, and innovation must be supported. The other thing which brings costs down is of course local expertise. So once you have, people are very, very expensive in the West. People are fortunately or unfortunately not that expensive in India. We get by with salaries which are a 10th or 20th of what similar people qualified are getting in the West. Obviously, but we are a developing country, that's acceptable. But that definitely brings it. The idea is that local expertise must be developed. If Indians living in India, working in India are trained, then they will be much more impactful at keeping costs down. The third comes to equipment and consumables, and this is, I think, the biggest bottleneck. We might have done everything in India as far as the CAR-T was concerned, but the equipment that we use to make it, the consumables that we use to make it, are all imported. There is hardly any company in the country which is making clinical grade materials of the materials which we use, or clinical grade equipment which can be used in a good manufacturing practice setup to use this. And Dr. Sanjay Singh will bear me out on that. All these equipments almost entirely are imported or from multinationals. Till local industry doesn't step up in the biotech, in the biological fields, this challenge will remain. So these are the three key factors which I think are important in driving costs down. These technologies are very exciting. Sequencing has already come down a lot, cost in India. So the genomic sequencing has come down. It can come down further with mass wider use. But these three challenges remain in cellular therapy, which our mRNA technology is a kind of cellular therapy.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that probably is in a massive shortage is probably lentivirus, which is really creating so much of CAR-T, production shortages.
Yes. So when we started out, there was only one company in the world which was supplying clinical grade lentiviral vector, and they had a monopoly. The only other source was US University, which could provide only to NCI funded investigator on American soil. So that was out for us. When we got the quote from them, we went to the grant agency, and it took us 2 3 years to get the grant. When we got the grant, we went back to them, and the price had tripled from about $1 million. It went up to $2 to $3 million just to supply a small batch of 100. By that time, there were more companies in the field, handful. But even then, it was. Then we said, okay, we'll make it ourselves. So now Dr. Rahul went and made the vector in his own facility, and that's how it came about. But
Yes.
these are the challenges. Yes, it's a huge bottleneck. Huge bottleneck.
Sure. Right. Um, uh, with that, do you want to start with the questions that have come in, Pratibha?
Actually, we do not really have time, but I would like to ask all the panelists one by one if you can sum up and tell us, like, should patients be hopeful or is it still a distant dream in oncology care? If the mRNA vaccines are still a distant dream, how could the development of personalized cancer vaccine impact the future of cancer treatment, particularly in terms of cost, accessibility, and integration with existing therapies? I know it's a very extensive question, but please, if you can give 2 3 pointers. Let me go to Dr. Singh. If you can go first, please.
Yes, patients should be hopeful. We are doing our best. Today, we are in one of the best era of innovation in the country, and Dr. Narula is sitting in front of us. He has done it. We are going to take, I think, second leap into it. The third one is certainly this is paradigm shift, which will make a big difference, whether it is coming in a year or 2 years. But I see certainly within 5 year horizon, you will see tremendous new hopes for the cancer immunotherapy. Thank you.
Dr. Harith, because patients want to hear from you, Dr. Harith, if you can.
So I would say it is a huge opportunity. I'm really emphasizing on it. And the reason I'm saying that, I have seen so many patients who have benefited different points in their journey. At some point, we said there's no hope. And as Dr. Santosh mentioned, gave a case of melanoma example that, and for a melanoma, I told a patient that there's hardly any treatment. And we spoke to a medical oncologist. The son of the patient, the first patient we put on immunotherapy was in US. And he said that don't worry about the cost. I know that there's something come up and probably he's a CGSS beneficiary. So we did not discuss too much into all that. Finally, what happened? The son procured the drugs initially and it got available and the patient survived for more than 7 8 years, far beyond our expectation. This is not just one case. And what we have seen off and on, that there are occasional patients that they benefit from one new discovery or opportunity, then something new comes up and they relapse, that gets tagged onto them. They are responding to all new things happening around. And that is what we are seeing as a what is incremental becomes monumental. Gradually, as it increases, it really becomes very big for that person. And this is not just one-off patient. This is a good subset of patients. So we have to be really optimistic. I would just appeal to people that whenever the medical fraternity or the scientists talk and approach them and suggest to them that participate in trials and all that. See, this has changed a lot. After the COVID, people have become open to the idea of participating in trials. So we should take this opportunity to say that you should be excited and be partner in this journey of discovery and strengthening the country's innovation pathway.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Harith. Dr. Santosh, your pointers, the patients.
Echo each word of Dr. Harith and Dr. Gaurav's statements, and this is an exciting time to be in, but at the same time, we have to contain our expectations and we need to be scientifically rigorous and ensure that we do only what the science really tells us to do, and not what many times people fall for unscrupulous elements in the society. That's something we should be careful about.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Santosh. Dr. Rajan, to you.
Yeah, it's in terms of paradigm shift. I mean, all paradigm shift happens rapidly. You saw that in COVID. Who thought that COVID will bring in a new platform, and we are discussing here. So I believe that the way big corporates are now pumping in money for into AI to discover new targets, there we are at the cusp of something big. I mean, if it breaks through, this could probably, who knows, it changes the whole logic of the way we approach something. So I remain optimistic in that front. So uh, uh, with regard to what message we should give out to patient out there, I think I would like to humbly submit that all the doctors who are in this panel, I've seen, interacted with a couple elsewhere. They do try and strive a lot to figure out a way if to give some cure or some remedy. It's not that they may be practicing, but they are researchers themselves in their domain. So the hats off to what they put in effort and imagination with whatever tool is available. What we can offer is add to that tool. So, and that's all. And I think the whole community is in great hands with very knowledgeable and more than knowledgeable, very sensitive people who think about people at large. And I'm very hopeful for all patient community as well.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Rajan. I would like to go to Dr. Gaurav Darula. Doctor, your key message for the patients or insights to share about these developments for cancer patients right now. You see a lot of people day in and day out.
So I think wearing multiple hats, I look at it different way. But from the scientific aspect, I find, since your question and this forum is specifically about this mRNA vaccine announcement, I find the technology very, very exciting and with huge potential. Uh, but my tempering statement to that is, from huge potential and very exciting to actual proof and benefit of patient takes time. Currently, patients may not benefit from this strategy as yet or in the immediate foreseeable future, but that does not mean that they should lose hope. The country and people should retain hope, because there are a lot of people working in this field, and we are moving much faster than we used to earlier. But for current day patients, I would temper the message by saying that for this, you may need to wait, uh, but that does not mean you should lose hope. There are many other exciting technologies, available therapies, which are extending lifespans, which are giving good quality life. In almost all cancer fields, there are new developments every day, and one should avail of these. We have reached stages where I know of people who have been on clinical trial after clinical trial. Lung cancer, what was considered terminal, 10 years back, and a person has just been on one clinical trial after the other on 10 subsequent serial clinical trials, and is still there and going strong. So there's a lot of excitement, a lot of things happening, a lot of hope. This particular topic,
Thanks a lot, Dr. Narula. I think in 60 minutes, we tried our best to cover all the aspects of this massive, big, topic which we had taken. Thanks a lot to each panelist and all the doctors keeping you away for 60 minutes for a webinar. I know it's very difficult, but still, thanks a lot to each one of you for coming in and giving your insights. Mr. Vikas, sir, can you please do the closing?
No, this has been an absolutely great session of knowledge sharing. I think we started on the premise that we don't know much about the Russian vaccine. Of months, we will all be searching more about where they are actually going, or is there some more. But yes, I mean, the wait is going to be long, but the right people here in India to see the next stage of the leap of cancer, treatments. So thank you so much again, and hopefully we'll catch up again on something more serious and more exciting. Thank you
Yeah,
so
it's
much.
a developing one, and so we would keep bothering all of you. Please do help us with your insights so we can
Yeah.
go to the audience with the right information, because
Yes.
most of the us, like a common man like me, doesn't know much of it. If people like you give us knowledge, we can take it up. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot to each one.